After working a lot for the corporates, and there is always a inner zeal to do something on your own. And as a first preference, it is a normal thought process that came into anybody's mind is that okay, being a CA, even if not corporate, probably you are going to do on your CA practice. And I was searching about a lot of things, and then agriculture and apiculture suddenly came. If there are no bees on the earth, then humankind can have only 4 years to survive.
Only 4 years?
4 years to survive.
Hello everyone, good evening and welcome back to AGROTIS Presents Talk with GREENPRENEUR. And as you know that we are talking with a lot of greenpreneurs. And again we have the different kind of leaders who are joining in this particular talk show. So today we have someone who is very special, and Mr. Pratik Ghoda. So he is running a startup. And we are going to discuss about a startup story. We are going to discuss about how a startup is contributing to a sustainability, and especially when we talk about his own venture, which is Bee Base Pvt Limited. So what are the products or services Bee Base Pvt Limited is offering to this particular market, and how they are creating sustainable environment. Right, so let us talk and keep watching this particular interview, because there are so many interesting things that we are going to discuss during this talk, and I have a couple of questions which I am going to ask. So Pratik bhai, welcome to vyapaarjagat TV, and thank you so much for joining this particular talk show.
Thank you, thanks a lot.
My pleasure, sir. So Pratik bhai, we will start with your background, right? So because we want to understand that before you started a startup. Right, so what you were doing previously when you were not in this particular venture?
Yeah, sure. So basically by qualification I am a chartered accountant, and I did complete my chartered accountancy in 2006. And since then I was definitely into a corporate to make sure that how the corporate journey starts up. So I started my corporate journey right from Torrent in 2006, and it was there lastly in the Baxter till 2019. So basically I have served 14 years in a corporate, right from management trainee till the financial controller and the vice president role, and handling different assignments with the investors, making entire F&A how it looks like till the time of business contribution, and to make sure that business grows in a different parameter and also. So that is what the corporate journey before that I jumped into this venture.
So now I think it's a very interesting journey you have, wherein you said you are a chartered accountant and you entered into a startup ecosystem where you take a path which is a very struggleful path. So why you thought of starting a startup, and how it was all started?
So basically after working a lot for the corporates, and there is always a inner zeal to do something on your own. And as a first preference, it is a normal thought process that came into anybody's mind is that okay, being a CA, even if not corporate, probably you are going to do on your CA practice. But that's fine. But what is there always in my mind is to cover up a business, because whenever I was doing a job, it's not typical job. I was closely associated with the business processes. I'm a man who are always there on the shop floor to understand the business dynamics, so that I can connect the business processes to my numbers objectively. And that gives me a business enabler title, so that I can support a business well. So that is where probably I feel that I am probably in a better position if I go and start certain level of a startup, or certain concept that I can bring into that kind of platform in a structured manner. So all this started thinking that okay, which basically area, what kind of thing that came, because normal and typical things, that's fine. Right. If you are coming up with something different, that is where probably more value you are able to add, and you can shape up in a more structured manner.
Super. So, especially, we want to know that how Bee Base started. What was the thought process behind it?
Yeah, so technically it's very funny, but it all started from a bee sting. And when I was looking at what could be the perfect venture to start with, and I was searching about a lot of things, and then agriculture and apiculture suddenly came to the life, and then I went into the depth that okay, what all about the apiculture, what about the bees, honey and all that, and I went into the villages where I've seen that how basically a raw apitherapy is being done. So I can see a Ayurvedic doctor treating arthritis and all basically from a bee sting. So that's something curious. And then I went to reverse and research that okay, there is something known as a epitoxin which is present into bee venom, and basically that is helping a lot. So from that I started that okay, that is a bee that are not only producing honey, but giving us a lot of other products like there is a wax, there is oil jelly. So then there is affirmation within came that okay, this is something from which I am looking from not only commercial point of view, but again from a social point of view that's making a real impact. And that's how the entire idea has been generated.
Superb. And so what are the products or services you are having as of now?
So basically, as you all know, the common product which people all know is the raw honey, and we are completely into raw honey. The crop-wise, flavor-wise, like ajwain honey, tulsi, fennel, jamun. So people feel that okay, you are going to add something as a fragrance, but no, it is a raw honey, and we are using that crop orchard to make sure that that flavors comes automatically. So suppose ajwain honey, we have our own beehives which we say deploy near the ajwain crops, and that is how the nectar of the ajwain flower is only available to the bees in the 3-kilometer radius, and that's how the ajwain honey is being made. So we just filtered it, offer as a retail to the people so that all the benefits of that plant and the characteristic are remain intact and people can have the health benefit. Apart from that, there are byproducts like beeswax used for scented candles and lamps, and a lot of kind of organic lipsticks. And there are bee pollen, which is a plant-based protein, best source of protein, and it's being used to have your protein diet in control. There's a royal jelly, which has been used again by like Lakeman and L'Oreal's. And there is a working on a bee venom which is in progress, which is kind of used in a treatment of arthritis. A lot of research are being taken care for the antidote of the HIV and the AIDS. And the more importantly, what we are into, the message is that it is a pollination services. So basically, all these aspects are leading to a sweet revolution, which has been definitely close to the heart of the PM as well. And this activity is basically for agriculture crop booster yield. So that you, by having the natural pollination, deliberate pollination, you can make sure that the crop yield goes up from 50% to 200% in certain crops. And that is where the national goal of doubling the farmer's income can be addressed to. So that is the pollination services where we work a lot closer with the corporate farming and the small scale farming also to making a growth. So that is another service area which is a niche area, and we are working very closely towards that.
Superb. And I think that is something where it is where you are contributing as a towards the sustainability. So Pratik, just let me know that what are your thoughts and views about sustainability, and how are you contributing towards the sustainability?
So wonderful. And basically, if I start, there is a start with a quote by Einstein that if there are no bees on the earth, then humankind can have only 4 years to survive.
Only 4 years.
4 years to survive. And reason being that the major part of the eatables like fruits, vegetable, 80%, 90% is being pollinated by bees only on the earth. So there are bees in danger, or there are no much rearing of the bees, equally the pollination will be hurt. And so as the yield goes down. So technically you need to have a bees, you have to save the bees to make sure that at the same time humankind can also survive. So whatever we eat, it's all thankful to the bees and the pollination, because if the exchange of male and female flowering is the only source apart from bees are the air, and it's no guarantee that every flower is getting pollinated through air. So the moment you are having a deliberate pollination through bees, make sure that bees visit the flower 2000 times normally a day, then the deliberate pollination is happening, and that's how the crop is getting flourished. So that's not only sustainability of the bees, but the mankind itself is depending on the bees, and that's how we are taken this vision and the mission to contribute towards that. so that we can have a base and we can continue to have this kind of flourishment from our agriculture and the green side of the country.
Super. And Pratik, we are we want to know more about Bee Base Pvt Limited. So, what is your target market, and who is your target client?
So if I say basically see target market, I won't say a kind of a region or a country or say, but basic target market is a domestic.
Okay.
And people do talk about export a lot because we are almost a fourth or fifth in the world ranking by exporting the honey. But the zeal with or the vision or the mission with which the company is coming into the picture is to make sure this healthy stuff should be spreaded like anything in our own country and our own people. Because this is something healthy food not only in terms of diet but kind of antioxidant properties which helps you to make sure that how you can be healthy enough. So that how more and more awareness and education, because the average of the consumption in our per person is the 70 gram in India versus 3 kg in overseas. So where overseas it is being treated like a premium food and a premium product, superfood, without which they will not be started. There is a kind of a otherwise scenario in India, and that is where this startup is working a lot to educate, to make aware that okay, this is something healthy food that you should have on a daily basis. Definitely there is an impact post-COVID, but yes, still that awareness so that the moment people are coming up with as a choice that okay, this is the food that we should take upon. And I think that's the main mission and the target market with which we are working. And another area is to definitely go with the farmers. To make sure that how the farmers are keen to have the beekeeping as a activating model, because ultimately it is an infinite source for agricultural growth only. So how they are coming up in favor of the beekeeping and adapting it as a model to grow their crop further, then nothing like it. I mean absolutely it will create a revolution for sure.
Okay. So Pratik, I have two questions now. One is आपने बताया कि at one point of time you are helping to farmers, and farmers those who are especially into beekeeping, right? So उनके लिए आप कैसे helpful हो सकते हो? So that is my first question.
So basically, see, so far as our experience with talking to the farmers, because normally farmers also can adopt this on a small scale model.
Right.
There are kind of subsidies that is being available to them, where Bee Base is helping them to make sure that how you can get it, how you can use the beekeeping for your crop. And in the end, what we are trying is that if you are not able to manage throughout the season, because the migration is the biggest challenge in this activity, to make sure that it is a sustainable model, Bee Base will be helping that okay, we'll manage the migration, we'll make sure that whatever production comes is been taken as an expansion food, and you are getting a revenue flow out of that. Again, when the season comes of your crop, there is a deployment of the boxes. So by doing so, there is a wonderful collaboration that been created, which is creating a perennial source of income for the farmer. And I mean, what is the best activity than this to make sure that the national goal of doubling the farmer income can be achieved through this? So this is the wonderful thing for the farmers, where we are working a lot closer to make them understand, and I mean by and time as the time is progressing, they are realizing okay, this is what is really in the benefit of our crop, not the the company that is working for us.
Understood. So Pratik, you have mentioned in the previous answer wherein you said कि India में जो honey का जो consumption है, right, it is only 70 grams, right?
Sure.
Per Indian, wherein in overseas it is like 3 kg.
True.
Right. So now I have two questions. One is, do we really have that large source available when if suppose every Indian wants to have more honey? So do we have that particular capacity where we can serve all the Indians?
So absolutely. I mean there are two missions. Everybody is also visualizing the vision, which is saving the soil, which is going on, right?
Correct.
So there are a lot of projects. There are a lot of land is available. But how to develop that land, make sure that it is converted to the agricultural land, and a lot of agricultural activities can be taken up. So we have a lot of green belt, where in a structured manner, if this has been taken as a role model for a sweet revolution, I mean even if the public is getting started to eat about it, I mean probably the fortunate thing that we could also import a good source of honey rather than exporting it. So there is an abundance of the land and the things are available. It's a matter of how you culture it, how you develop the land and make sure that it is used for those kind of agriculture and the apiculture. then I'm good amount of source that has been there, and you are definitely able to meet up all the demand that's been generated through the awareness and education.
Okay, and in fact, in market there are lot of companies, lot of competitors available, those who are producing honey, and they are serving the market. So we want to know what are your competitive advantages when we talk about especially Bee Base Pvt.
So yeah, if people would definitely compare with the regular honey and the branded that has been available in the market, but the first distinct advantage is that we are into completely raw honey. It's completely raw honey. That means only filtration process has been performed, no processing at all. So the apple-to-apple comparison is not being there, first of all. But yes, that is obvious that people would compare with that. So there is a processed honey versus raw honey. That is the first distinct feature that is there in our product. So only filtration, so that the this characteristic and the benefits are being passed directly, and no other mechanism that has been adopted. So completely, there is no adulteration, no process, and any test that has been performed, latest maybe NMR or whatever that has been the current buzz in the market, C3, C4 sugar, that's been also passed through. So it's a completely healthy stuff that's been available to the people.
And how do you sell as of now? What are the if suppose somebody wants to buy, then what are the sources there?
So basically, of course, B2C is the best available model. When we started, I can say it's barely 10 bottles, and mouth to mouth nearby your friends and relatives and are taking care of it. And then the honey liver kind of a group that has been made by WhatsApp. Then the publicity has been started. The media has also got a good coverage to us, and then it's been listed to Amazon also now, available on our website. And that's how we are trying to go more onto a B2C and a direct model, an online model, rather than a typical distribution channel that normally is being opted by the FMCG people.
Super. So Pratik, you mentioned your vision and mission in brief, but so I want to understand that what is your larger goal or vision? Where do you see yourself after 10 years?
So it's a really good question, and what is coming into my mind is the obvious thing is to make sure that I can work as an umbrella, kind of a bee connect, you can say, where everybody can be under one roof, and not only honey person, but kind of a right pricing to the beekeepers. Like farmers, we are also worried about the right pricing. Same goes with the honey. So how can the right pricing that has been made available to the other beekeepers? We can be at that central source that okay, everybody is getting, and only for raw honey, not again the process. At the same time, can make sure that there is a vision which we are about to develop, is that what are the areas under cultivation in part of a region, whatever part of a country, what are the stage-wise information like seeding stage, flowering stage, and harvesting stage. And if there is a needs of that, pollination is required, then how one particular area can place a request to the nearby source that okay, here I need a pollination, and that can be a joint hand, so that it's a completely revolution thinking that okay, you are connecting the dots in an efficient manner to make sure that every flower that grows must be pollinated, so as you're addressing the yield problem and doubling the income of the farmer. That's a longer term vision, if you would like to say, in a 5 or 10 years time.
Superb. And so Pratik, these days sustainability became a buzzword. Right, so a lot of people are talking about sustainability, and even there are a lot of architects, those who are working towards the green building or some sort of the nature related things. So what do you think? What will be the future as far as sustainable development is concerned? So if we talk about the future of India, so what are your views about it?
I think as there is a lot of buzz about the environment, eco-friendly stuff, and this is the best example of I would say eco-friendly business. Because you can say rightly, there is no typical any kind of a gaseous liquid or a solid waste that has been generated, no electricity, no water. So this is really giving a base, and that's why as we are saying, a Bee Base is the name of the company. So whenever you are talking about a green revolution or sweet revolution, that comes that okay, this is something which is not consuming any of the sources that has been required and ultimately generated a waste or the non-environment friendly stuff. And the base itself is the kind of eatable and the things, which is a very basic thing. And whatever industry we are talking about, whatever growth and IT we talked about, that's absolutely fine. It's there to help. But ultimate, when it comes to India, it's ultimately agriculture based country, and to make sure that sustains, there is no other alternative apart from this sustenance of this kind of activity. So it's completely, goes hand to hand, and that's how we are completely, confident that this is something as a base, and you can't really ignore it.
Super. So Pratik, so far we have discussed so many things about your venture, about the sustainability. Now I have a couple of questions where we want to talk about your personal journey, right? So my first question is, what are the challenges you are having when you are running a particular startup? You can even consider the past challenges you had, and if suppose it is about past, then how did you overcome from those challenges?
So if I say startup, basically first thing is that as a challenge came into mind that okay, this is a common product where the branded companies are there in the market.
Absolutely.
And you are going to deal with it. But then as the company's vision is beyond television, where we are looking with the other stuff, the pollination services, how this can be consumed as a food additives or a kind of a, internal part of the foods, because honey doesn't mean that only a bottle on a retail outlet. Suppose we have seen that how in a sweet you have launched the honey chocolate, honey lemonade, honey shrikhand, how you can make sure that it goes as a internal part of food and replacing the sugar day by day. So that's because of the different vision which we are carrying about it. So first challenge was that in my mind, but then we have a way out that okay, we are looking. Let us look at all parameters of this activity. The holistic view, not only the narrow view that okay, bottled honey. That's a part of it.
Right.
So that's been resolved with that different streams and the things that has been designed for. So of course the second biggest thing is to make sure that the migration and the sustainability of bees, because we have to migrate. This is the activity which cannot be done at one place, because you can't do flowering on a full time at 12 months at a one place. So migration is crop to crop in a different scenario. That is the biggest challenge, but we made sure that how the team is being placed. We could make sure that the process has been designed in a structured manner, routes has been mapped, a location has been mapped, so that there is a minimum of fuss, and you can go from A place A to place B in a desired manner. So that is and biggest thing is when to make sure that how the farmers are, not being stopped, but being made sure that they use least amount of the pesticides. Because the biggest thing impact on the bees' life is if they really use pesticides a lot, spraying a lot, then we don't have the bees came home back in the same quantity where they are going started in the morning.
Right.
So that is where we talked with the village sarpanch, gathering of farmers that okay, we understood your curiosity. You may not be believing right now, but make sure that even if you wanted to spray, make it a limited content, or inform us in a day advance so that we can make certain arrangements where either the bees come after, you can spray after the bees are there at home, or when they are out completely, so that it will minimize the damage. And once you are eyewitnessing the crop yield growth, automatically you will understand that okay, even if without spraying, I'm not saying don't do it, but without spraying, how the yield will be increased.
Right.
So that is the biggest challenge, where to address a crowd, make sure that okay, ek kar raha hai, dusra nahi kar raha hai. You can't stop everyone, but then gradually and slowly and steadily they understood okay, by having this activity our crop is increased. So that means there is some fact behind it, and that's how after a lot of meetings, they started believing. So progress is still on, but I think there is a good thing that people really start giving weightage to this.
So it means like you are overcoming from the problems, those issues.
Absolutely.
So now Pratik, we want to know more about your personal life, wherein if suppose you are not working, when you are not working, I mean you are not in office, right? So what are the set of other activities you are doing? Where do you spend your time outside the work?
So definitely family is the priority, because the situation is such that we keep traveling to the villages and all. So whenever we got a time, I would like to dedicate it to the family, so that and as such mine is a joint family, so we all are staying together. There is a tradition that we eat together, especially one time in a special evening, and there is a dedicated time where a couple of hours we sit together, mother, father, my brother, and everywhere, discuss how the routine was, what are the plannings that we are making for. So that's a very much adorable thing that I would love to do. Apart from that, the reading is my hobby. Playing sports, so cricket is very much close to my heart. So I do get a time, whenever I do get a time in the weekends also, I made sure that I play a couple of games as well. So that's how I would like to drive my personal time basically.
Super. So Pratik, now next question is, what is one thing which you are learning as of now?
Learning is it's a wonderful learning, I would say, when you are on the chair of, say, vice president, having 25 people or more than that team with you, and you are suddenly a one-man army. So that is the biggest thing, that okay, now you are not in a maybe a CFO role, you can't in ordering mode, of course, but you have to make sure that okay, now you are doing a startup, so you have to adapt that adaptability. So first fight that starts is always within. So that is the biggest thing that you need to overcome, and you need to just know, okay, now that is a past, whatever I am doing here, probably you have to also spend equal good amount of time. You have to do the basic things. So that is, I think, the biggest transition of a mindset from that professional to that typical startup guy. I think I would like to say that this is the biggest transition, and you have to handle it very well and very amicably, so that it doesn't really affect that. Okay, previously I am a CFO, how come I do this, or how come I go to the market, or how can I talk to the people, that's not. I think that is the biggest transition. I would like to see that's what been happened very efficiently, slowly and gradually.
And you are learning a lot of lessons out of it.
Absolutely, it's as good as you are on a marketing skill as well. It has been tested that not a typical finance or a CA guy, but how to approach the people, how to deal with the situation, how to do with the labors also. So a lot of other aspects that came into the market, how to deal with the market, different people. So that's where your personal skills are also being tested. Apart from leadership, there are a lot of things. So that is a really key learning, and to deal with the different set of people, to understanding the market. There are a lot of parameters that came into the picture. I mean, it's all learning, and every day I feel that everybody has to be open for the learning.
Absolutely. And so Pratik, it was great talking to you, and thank you so much for sharing your journey, your insights, your experience. But before we wrap this particular session up, my last question to you is, what message do you want to convey to especially the young entrepreneurs or the startups?
So definitely, guys, my first thing that whatever or whenever you feel that there is something that you can do about it, please go for it. Heard your inner voice, because that is where probably it's coming out of a passion. So if the thought is about the only weekend, do give a time. But if the thought is coming about 24/7, that is a time to do something different for you, and you have to jump into it. Of course, there are hurdles, there are reservations, there are a lot of things that come into the picture. But when every day and every second you are thinking about it, go for it. Make sure that you have your basics right. So a lot of startups or the things that is not being up to the mark is because there are a hell lot of things that has been taken up at the same time. But one thing at a time, make sure your basics are right, and not because I am a finance professional, but give importance to your finance and the accounts department. Keep an equal eye on that discipline, because that is the biggest thing. Lack of a finance discipline is leading to an early death. So keep your basics right, have that passion, make sure that you give importance to the planning of overall budgets with all contingency in mind. Because be conservative, never be the optimistic. So that is the couple of things that I would like to advise everyone. And I think then as the time comes, I think it always takes a time. Nothing comes at the second month or the third month. You have to really there for a testing time. And once you are through with this testing time over 1,000 days, I think the ground is yours for sure.
Absolutely. It's a great message. Thank you so much, Pratik, for joining and sharing, all such insights and your story. Thank you so much, and we wish you all the best for your venture, Bee Base Pvt Limited.
Thank you very much. Thanks for this opportunity, so that everybody is aware about such.
Absolutely. My pleasure, sir. So, hey everyone. So, as you have seen that there are great lessons we can learn from this particular interview, this particular talk which I had with Pratik. And so if you know any other entrepreneur or any leader who is working towards the sustainability or the environment or climate, then do connect them to us. You can simply comment. I will put the number and the person's name in the comment box, so that we can reach out to them and we can feature them in this particular show, and we can also invite them to be part of our initiative, which is called GREENPRENEUR Convention and Awards 2022. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching out this interview, and keep watching, stay tuned. And if you have not subscribed vyapaarjagat TV yet, so please do subscribe vyapaarjagat TV, and do not forget to click on that particular bell icon, because that is the one which will give you notification whenever we have another story. Thank you.
सपना देखे हमसे पूरा करें, कोई उड़ना चाहे हमसे विश्वास दें, जोश भरने को तैयार हम, आगे बढ़ने में राहदार हम, जोश भरने को तैयार हम, आगे बढ़ने में राहदार हम। मेरा व्यापार